But first, we get to have the opportunity of having an interview. This is Neil Hetherington. He is the CEO of the Daily Bread Food Bank, one of Canada's largest food banks, supplying food to nearly 200 food programs across Toronto. And this Christmas, they're tackling the need head on. Welcome, Neil. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, Bill. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Now, you've worked in the nonprofit sector for many years and are currently the CEO of the Daily Bread Food Bank. Tell us briefly what the primary mission of this organization is and what motivates you the most in leading it.
Well, it's a very simple mission that we have a vision where nobody goes hungry. And so what that means is that we need to work with the community, to work with government, to make sure that everybody has access to their right to food. So we are making sure that that access, that right, is realized by not only making sure that the food gets to individuals today, but that we advocate for systemic change so that nobody lives in poverty.
Right. And right now you're seeing a sharp increase in need due to COVID. And so I can see behind you there, there's lots of food racks. Tell us a little bit about the scope of what is happening right now and how you're seeing COVID really impact our communities.
You're right. But behind me is a great large warehouse. This is about 108,000 square feet. The sad reality, Bill, though, is every 6 days, every single one of these racks is emptied because the need in the community has risen so dramatically. We're now serving about 125,000 families just in Toronto every single month. And that number, that escalation that we've seen because of the pandemic of 1.5 times is felt in urban centers all across the country. And so we are calling upon the community to step up, not only in terms of making sure that food gets to people, that there are donations to food pantries and food banks all across the country or financial donations, but also, I think, as important that people who are listening to this hear some of the systemic causes of food insecurity and start to advocate for those changes that we need to see in the country.
Yeah. So, what are some of those? What are some of the things you're seeing rise? Where is crisis really being felt, and what are the reasons for that?
Well, I'll just tell you, a crisis is being felt with your neighbor. It's the people that you are riding the bus beside or the subway beside. It's individuals that you see at the corner store. The crisis is at home. People who have been laid off and can't make ends meet. So that's where the crisis lies. Now, in terms of the solutions, I would probably put it into 3 categories, Bill. The first is let's make sure that there are decent pathways to employment, easy access to full-time, not precarious employment opportunities, employment that allows for benefits to happen, medical and dental benefits to happen. The second is making sure that there's income security. So people who are on disability should not have to live in poverty. So making sure that the incomes from disability and from OW equal the cost of living in the communities that people live. And then the third one, making sure that there is decent, affordable housing all across the country. I had the opportunity to serve at Habitat for Humanity as their CEO in Toronto and the New York City for about 15 years. And I can tell you the need for decent, affordable housing has never been greater. And that is not confined to just Toronto. That's right across the country.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess these needs can be especially felt at the Christmas season, a season that for many should be filled with joy and hope and peace, and yet that's been taken away. So what is your organization specifically doing, and how can maybe some of our viewers get involved in that?
Well, you know, we just celebrated the first Sunday of Advent, and there is hope. And so I do have hope. I have hope because Canadians have gone through this pandemic together. We have learned that poverty is much closer to another. We have learned that affordability is often out of reach of too many people, and so hopefully with that collective lived experience, there is hope that we will start to change those systems, advocate for policies that will mean that food banks all across the country can shutter their doors because there is no more need.
Right. Well, and I think one of the biggest things is to start changing mindsets, because I think the majority of Canadians who aren't in need don't realize just how great the need really is. And then maybe some of them feel like they can't do anything about it. They feel overwhelmed, or they just believe it's the government's responsibility to take care of that. So, I mean, obviously you've given your life to challenging and taking head on this issue. What would you say to those people who say, oh, come on, it's really not that big of a deal, or it's someone else's responsibility?
Well, I would invite any of them to come and have a visit and a tour of this facility and of the food banks, and have conversations with the people that are experiencing poverty every single day. I have the opportunity to serve here, and I've had the opportunity in my life to be able to serve in programs like Out of the Cold and with Habitat for Humanity. And the common denominator in each of those cases is that there are individuals who are hurting, who are in need, and who just need that opportunity to thrive in their community. And there's ways to have it happen, ways that make sense for the community as a whole to thrive. And so my hope is that people will dig in deeply. They'll read reports like the one we just issued called "Who's Hungry," and realize that poverty, unfortunately, is very close to home. And two, there are real solutions available to be taken.
Oh, that is really helpful, because I think there is something we can all do, and no step in the right direction is too small. And so I really appreciate that. So if you just had one last thought or something you'd like our audience viewers to walk away with, what would that be?
You know, not everybody who's watching this will have the opportunity to make a donation to a food bank or to be able to of food or of funds. But I think we can all do two things. We can all pray for those who are experiencing poverty, and then through that prayer, be strengthened and use that strength to advocate for the solutions that we know are out there, the solutions the recommendations that are available to all of us. We can all send an email or write a letter to our elected official and say, now is the time to implement the poverty reduction strategy.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. That is really practical steps that we can all take, especially at this Christmas season. Thank you for all that you're doing. We're cheering you on. We appreciate you. Thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks, Bill. Merry Christmas.